Good Monday morning, Tim Sykes here, and I wanted to go over this play. We've had a good buying opportunity and a good shorting opportunity already. The market's only been open for about an hour this week. I'm trying to get through a whole bunch of emails. I made a few $100s on it. But this sale that I've been talking about forever, or it feels like forever, it's been a month. If you go to timsykessale.com, you can see it. This is the website, and then also stockstotrade.com/sale. 35% off the annual stocks to trade and 35 to 70% off on DVDs and newsletters. It's finally ending tomorrow. I cannot freaking wait. I'm getting so many questions about every single thing on this sale. I think the sale is pretty self-explanatory. I had about 1,700 emails yesterday to get through. I got through about half. So I think that I can finish answering about 1,000 emails between today and tomorrow. Literally, that's my life. People are just asking all kinds of questions. And just a quick review, How to Make Millions, I think is a must watch. It's 35 hours. It is very basic. Even if you know nothing about the stock market, this is your DVD. It all goes to charity. We've raised $1.2 million now. It is 35 hours long and comprehensive. Spikeability is my newest DVD, and this talks all about how to kind of buy these stocks before they spike or dip buy stocks that are hot. It's all about buying and understanding a little bit about short squeezes too, because that can influence your buys. And then penny stocking and penny stocking part two, and penny stocking framework really are all required watching in my mind. And trading tickers is my top student, Tim Grattani, who's turned a few thousand now into nearly 3 million, and it's his whole strategy from start to finish with nearly 4 dozen live trades. I think there's 42, I don't know. There's a ton of live trades. You're going to understand exactly how he did it. It's not due to luck. And then we also have all these newsletters, between Tim Alerts and Penny Stocking Silver. Small Cap Millionaire is my long-term newsletter, for those of you asking. Superman, he's making solid money. Still, Triforce is the newest millionaire unprofitably, and Connor is just a teenager who's learning how to trade, or teaching how to trade, and actually learning still too. But he does it all off his phone while he's in school, and he actually got detentions. There's a peacock in the background. I don't know if you can hear that. Try and guess where I am. Leave a comment where there's a peacock waking me up. It's kind of crazy, this life that I live. But here's my trade today. Just made a few $100s on PRGN. I dip bought it at right around the 2-ish level and sold it at 210. This was my watch list going into today. I really want you guys reading my watch list every single day, just seeing how I form a thesis and seeing what I predict. Obviously, I'm not going to be right every single day. I'm going to be wrong quite often, but it's all about trying to go into the market with a plan and with an idea and with expectations of what a stock could or couldn't do. So PRGN, I said, is looking like it could pull off a short squeeze any day, so I'm tempted to buy it, not short it, but it keeps failing in the 180s and 190s. So until it can break that level, shorts will be in control. If somehow it can get over $2 a share on big volume, watch out shorts, so this can spike in a big way. And I could not have written this any better as it turned out, as it played out. So for those of you thinking like it's all about the buy alerts, it's not. It's about preparation. This is why I want you reading my watch list. This is why I want you in my chat room. This was written and this is timestamped. I didn't like go back and change it. Some people think, oh, it's easy to own a website and just change your commentary after the fact. Listen, you morons who say that, okay? I don't change commentary. I own up to the fact when I'm wrong, as happens quite often. And I also brag about when I'm dead on right. This was sent this morning at 1:38 a.m. Eastern. And I specifically said that it could not break through the 180s or 190s. But if it can, then it can spike in a big way. And here is PRGN today, uptrending pre-market in the 190s. Before the market even opened, it jumped from 198 all the way up to 240, came down. I actually used this dip buying opportunity. So I actually had a pretty good buy at roughly the best time of the day. If you're buying at pre-market, it's very illiquid. There's not a lot of volume, as you can see. So my dip buying it here at 2 was solid. It got back up to the 220s. I was out at like 210. It was just too choppy. Even right now, 206, 209, I'd still be up a little bit. But the thing to really do was to recognize the key levels. So why is $2 a share So important because here in the past 3 days, the top here was 199, the top here was 194. So now 195, 199 is going to act as support. I don't know where this goes. I thought that it actually could spike more, but remember, this stock is up a ton um, off of its lows, in the 30-cent range. So it's tough for a stock to hold 7 times its value off one basic press release. But I'm so proud of so many of you guys. You nailed it. These are just a few from the chat room that I found really quickly. Clear Blue Skies made a few hundred. Titan Investor took the meat of the move. This is actually a solid trade. S. Gelzinga, first trade ever, nailed it. Made nearly $1,000. Angelique, first time trading since studying Tim's ways, in at 210, out at 230. Good job, nice 10%. And Getting Rich actually shorted it when the spike was failing. And those of you in the chat room know, I've been commenting all morning long saying, look, like this stock, it's scary. I thought that it would spike more, but the price action just is not that great. Like every single penny higher, there's sellers on the ask. And this, it's probably just because it's up so much. Let me show you some other stocks that were similar. SYNC, for example, it spiked up a ton, and every single penny, no matter when it tries to spike, there's sellers. So it's very tough when that happens for it to really spike. SYNC is still a potential buy for me. I mean, they won a big deal with AT&T, but it needs to break this 380, 390 level, and it can't even go green today. So that's not really my take. PRGN, same kind of thing. You have the breakout over 2. It got to 240, but now it's coming down even as I film this. I wouldn't be surprised if this finishes the day under 2 because we got the short squeeze, but frankly, it just didn't hold its gains that much or spike that much. So I got in at the right time. You see, look at this. Now it's failing. But this is all preparation. Okay, so if you read my watch list last night and you were prepared, you're like, oh, I see, if it can break the 180s or 190s. So you have a few opportunities. This is nothing huge. Okay, this isn't even like a home run. It's not like, oh my God, I nailed this stock. I was so dead on. This is trading penny stocks. This is a good, realistic look at an example of a volatile stock, which we like, in a stock that's heavily shorted in a small company that can spike a lot, but you have to factor in real life disappointment. It's not always going to go just from 2 to 3, especially after it's up from 30 cents a few days prior. So you need to learn to deal with disappointment. And this is a good example, but there's still money to be made, either buying it at around 2-ish and selling it at 210, 215, 220, 230, or if you do it really well, you can sell it at 240, and that would be like the equivalent if you ever played skee ball. I don't know if you guys play skee ball. I was a big skee ball player. Let's see, skee ball. This is a good analogy. This is working. Where's a good picture? I just came up with this in my head. I don't plan my analogies. So here's skee ball. And you try and throw the ball. You can either get 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then there's 200s on the outside. But it's tough to go for the hundreds because, if you miss, it's either 100 or 0. So I like going straight up the middle, and I try and get the 50, but sometimes if I don't do it hard enough, then I get the 40 or the 30. But either way, this is, going for the singles or the doubles versus the home runs, if you like the baseball analogy, whatever it takes. So with SYNC, this is that kind of play where you know that $2 a share is an important level because it failed to break out there. Once it breaks out, then, you want to dip buy it here at 2. And again, if you want to go for a single, you want to go for the easy play where it's like a 10 or 20 or 30, then guess what? Then you sell it at 205, 210, 215. If you get up, if you have patience with this choppiness, which I did not have, and it goes up to 220, that's the equivalent, making 10% is the equivalent of like getting like a 40 or a 50. But if you somehow manage to get this at like 2 and sell it at 240 and you make 20%, that's the equivalent of getting 100 in skee ball. This is very tough to make 20% on any stock. But it does happen every now and then, and especially in the past few weeks, I've had several 20, 30% wins. So that's how I like to look at it. But the key is knowing where the important level is ahead of time. And $2 a share is that period. And now it actually just bounced. I mean, I don't know what happens later in the day on this stock. The play is already over for me. It was all about how will the stock react once it breaks two. Because theoretically, if I was a short seller, I would be scared and I would want to cover. And a short seller covering creates a short squeeze, creates these big kinds of spikes. Oh, look at GRWC. This is a blatant pump that just keeps crashing. I wish I could have found shares to short. If you watch my video lessons from the past few days, I specifically said this was going to drop 50%. I was actually shorting MWOG, which is another pump, and this just got halted by the SEC. I probably should have kept my shares, even though I was short just a few hundred shares, because this will drop 50, 75% when the market reopens in a few days or a few weeks. So there's shorting opportunities there, but PRGN was a clear long setup. Even though, most people will look at this who don't know anything about penny stocks and they'll just say, this is crazy, this is manipulated, this is ridiculous. Those of us who actually trade this stuff, we know to look for key levels. If it failed at two, then it would be a short because it would just be another failure like the last few days. But once it broke two, that you see here, it was a good short right here at two because it came down to 160s. It was a good short here at two. It came down to the 140s. It was a good short here in the 180s. It came down to the 150s. Good short here in the 190s. Came down to the 170s. But here, this time, it finally broke two. And now it actually is still holding it a little bit. So look for these key levels ahead of time. Read my watch list. If there's a stock in play, I'm probably going to talk about this key level that I'm watching. And if you're prepared, you can make the quick 20% or make the 10% on the bounce. And it's no different than skee ball. So I got to give props to students like Chad. He actually shorted it on the failure to spike very much, and he made a few hundred. And he watches my How to Make Millions, and he says How to Make Millions finally paying off. Good. Also, Alan, he nailed this pre-market 198 out at 217, made 250 bucks after commissions. And then Michael took the meat of the move, and he made nearly 30 cents a share. Just another Monday in the books. So these are the kinds of opportunities that I want you looking out for. Volatile stocks, liquid stocks, you take a small position, long or short, and you try and, play with the opportunities that you're given. If it breaks $2 a share, it's a potential buy. And if you catch it right away, you can make the 20%, or if you catch it on the dip, you can make the 10% on your money. Or if you screw it up somehow, you sell for even less. I think I made like 5% on my money. But the opportunity is there, the odds are there, and this is what successful penny stocking is all about. It's not about going for home runs. It's not about thinking, oh, this company's going to revolutionize the world. It's about using technical analysis and your knowledge of the markets, namely, in this case, if you have knowledge about a short squeeze, and you learn, where to buy and where to play it safe, and you learn the game. That's the game. And if you make 200, 300, 500, 1,000 every day, every few days when there are plays like this, it adds up, as you can tell by my millionaire students and I. So I like this market, right now. There's literally opportunities every single day. The only question is, are you prepared? And sadly, most of you are not. You don't see $2 a share as anything important. You just see a random stock that's up 17% on the day. So you're looking at the wrong stuff. And that, my friends, is why I push these DVDs so much. Because these DVDs, unlike these little video lessons, which are 10, 15 minutes talking about whatever stock is in play right now, these DVDs talk about, years past and the fundamentals and how to set up a trade. So the DVDs are the foundation. These daily video lessons that I make and these stocks that I trade every day, these are just, real-time examples of what's taught in the DVD. And I found that's the best way to teach. So you see both. You can't just learn everything from being in the moment. You need a foundation, as I made the analogy yesterday and in my challenge webinar the other day. A house without a foundation is going to fall over. So look at these DVD study guides as your foundation. And you trading challenge students, you also have our webinars from Mark Crook, Grittani, Good, and myself. So you guys have a lot of resources on how to plan this stuff and how to prepare, but you need to do the studying. I can't do it for you. So as I can tell with all of these emails that I'm getting, a lot of people need to do a lot of studying. And that's what it comes down to. That still can't guarantee you success. I love this. I'm going to close by saying, my favorite question of the day. Someone said, Tim, if I put in this study, if I take time away from my family and my job and I study, can you guarantee me profits? And I get this question all the time. And the answer is no. I can never guarantee you profits. Anybody who guarantees you profits is a liar or a fraud. What I can guarantee you, though, is I will teach you to the best of my abilities all of these patterns, all of these stocks, so that you are better prepared every single day. That's all I can do. And that's all anyone can do. And so I try and show you from, my nearly 2 decades of experience, the kinds of indicators, the kinds of levels, the kinds of news, the kind of price action that I like to trade. And I didn't trade this one perfectly today, okay? I was in at 2, out at 210-ish, 208, 209. Like, it was not a fantastic trade, but it was a realistic trade. And that's why I really like trading, such a small account so that you can see what's possible. This money that I made today, where did it go? This $200. I mean, this can be done pretty much every single day or every few days where you're going for a stock that has breached some important level. It's obviously a very volatile stock. A lot of you guys just trade boring stocks because you get sucked in by the press releases and the story of the company in exact disregard for my rules, where I just want to play the volatility. I'm not saying PRGN is a good long-term company. I'm not investing in this for the long term. I'm trading its volatility, and I'm trying to use the odds, and I'm trying to use the subtleties and the characteristics of this niche to my advantage, knowing that a lot of people look to short this at 2. So when it breaks 2, that makes every single short seller nervous. And some short sellers get more nervous than others. I mean, there's some shorts who are just like, screw this company. I'm just going to keep betting on it. It's going to go below $1 eventually. And guess what? They're probably right. But at the same time, I know a lot of short sellers who got their accounts blown up shorting this thing too early. I know a lot of over-aggressive short sellers who, they like to rip on me. They say, oh, you're such a coward. You trade too scared. All these companies are going bankrupt eventually. Yes, maybe. And you're right, I am a coward. And yes, I do trade overly scared. I didn't have to get out at 210 on this one. I think I got some executed at like 209, some at 211. Overall, it's like 210. But I played it too safe. 15 minutes after I sold it, it was at 220. So theoretically, I could have made 400 or 500. It's okay. It's okay. A lot of you guys are also emailing me, oh, I was up, 1,000 on this trade, or I was up 700 and I only ended up like 200 or 100. I'm so disgusted with myself. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Part of my job is just trying to manage your expectations and trying to help you with your perspective. Because someone like me who's been doing this for nearly 2 decades, and I take, a third or a half of the potential gains on a day, I've learned to accept it. I've learned to accept my imperfections and, my failures on trades. But if you look at my trades over time, especially in the past really like 2 or 3 years when I've been trading smaller, 2014 I made nearly $1 million. I was pushing it. That was my best trading year ever. And I was taking big positions, but I also had some big losses. Now I'm really learning, my dollar gains are smaller. My percent gains are still incredible. My $12,000 account is now like 42,000 or 41,000. But I'm playing it much safer. And I've learned that you guys like that too. And I think that's a really good theme, where if the stock is not doing exactly what you want, you just get out. It doesn't, it costs you something, but it doesn't cost you much, like $5 or $10 for commissions. And trading stress-free, especially in the past 2 weeks, I've been doing very well, where I haven't been holding stocks a lot overnight, because a lot of these are like oil plays or very speculative. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. I'm not trading that many earnings winners. Trading stress-free and reducing your stress and just exiting when you don't know what's going on, that's good. So it's okay to exit too soon. It's okay to have smaller profits than you aimed for or that you want. But the key is that you gradually build your account. And most importantly, you learn, okay? Even if you're just trading with 100 shares. I know some of you guys think I'm totally full of shit and you're just like, I'll test it out really small. But no matter where you are, some people are paper trading, no matter where you are, at least learn and see. I saw somebody, they chased PRGN in the chat room a little bit and, they were paper trading. So they just bought the stock on paper. They didn't actually risk any money and they bought it at like 220 because, if the stock really was going to spike big, who cares if it's, 20 cents a share overextended. As it turned out, 220 buying it was a pretty bad price. And so he sold it, I think, at like 205. So on paper, he lost like $300. In the real world, it didn't cost him anything because he's paper trading. That's good. Okay, if you want to learn that way, that's fine. There's no one right way to learn. There's no one right way to trade. Part of my job is just getting you guys to accept that you're not going to be perfect and that you are going to have some losses sometimes and that some stocks are going to disappoint you. I don't want to be like the penny stock guy who's like, everything is spiking, boom, yeah, we nailed it. Sometimes we do. But a lot of the times you have trades like this that, you go in with a plan, you have your key levels to watch, namely $2 a share, you let it do its thing, and for whatever reason, it doesn't do exactly what you wanted it to do. That is okay. That is trading. I don't want you to think that every single play is going to be a home run. I know a lot of you have been spoiled in the past 2 weeks because we've had a lot of home runs and I've sold a lot of this stuff too soon. And I know a lot of you guys have sold a lot of this stuff too soon. But I'm taking 20, 30% profits here or there. And I'm okay with that because for me, that's like the 100 score in skee ball. That's a home run if I'm making 20 or 30%. I know a lot of you guys want let me just bring up one. Timley / what was it? Shoot, I forget. Sykes 5X? Yes, this is it. I have all these little shortened URLs that I try and remember because I have too many blog posts. Why is this not loading? Here it is. So this is Sid, and this is a home run. This is a grand slam, to win the World Series. Buying PRGN at 62 cents and selling it the next day at 332. This does not come around every single day. It's fun to highlight, it's fun to talk about, but this happens only a few times per year. So it's important to recognize that not every play is going to be like this. Even though this is the same stock, PRGN, but this was when the stock was really surging, when the volume was crazy, when the news had just come out. And this isn't a fantastic play. I mean, this is best case scenario where you turn a $400 into $2,300 overnight. This is the beauty of penny stocks, but it's not going to happen every day. So adjust your expectations accordingly. That's the problem, I think, with most penny stock promoters. They never take the foot off the pedal because, penny stock promoters are compensated by the companies to write the most ridiculous propaganda about these companies. So you think, or they want you to think that, every play is going to be this huge home run, when in fact, that's not reality. Most of these companies stink. But if you recognize the signs and you recognize that these low float stocks can really run like PRGN and GLBS and ULTR, I missed this whole entire run up on PRGN at first. But I banked on ULTR and GLBS, which were two sympathy plays. And if you don't know what a sympathy play is, I suggest you watch my How to Make Millions DVD. I have multiple chapters on this. So if you don't understand why, a company in the same sector that has similar kinds of news and similar kinds of price action can spike in the exact same manner, then you better study. And even if you do understand that, you probably should still study. You cannot over-study. You cannot be over-prepared enough. All of these DVDs, all of these video lessons that I create, all of these newsletters, it's just history. It's just, historical lessons on these same kinds of patterns to help you better prepare for the present and the future. So, enough ranting. I'm going to go answer a whole bunch of emails. This sale will end tomorrow. Tomorrow. I promise you, tomorrow. Okay? I know it's only a day away. I'm losing my mind. I'm going to go answer emails. See you in the chat room.